Ladies and gentlemen, better? We're on the second part of our segment. It's Chief Haydar's first ever budget hearing, ever. And so we're going to take a look at this for him here. I have to kind of squeeze it a little bit. Support of our police department. And so Mehdi, Mariana, thank you for being here. Chief, thank you for your services and being here today. Lieutenant Gazowski, thank you for being here as well. Hope I said that correctly.
Personnel page 11.
What is it? All right, I don't know. One of those Polish names. What page are we on for the budget hearing? What page are we on for the personnel page?
So we are going to be on page 19 for the budget, page 11 for the personnel page. Before we begin, I do want to direct your attention to page 11.
1 second.
Page 11?
You want to go to page 11 and page 19?
Yes, and on page 11, line number 4, emergency manager, that was mistakenly put in this budget. There is a separate budget for the emergency manager department. So that will reduce total expenditures in this budget by $118,000 for the salaries plus fringe
Page
benefits.
11 doesn't say that.
Line item number 4 on personnel page.
On the personnel page, I'm
Yes.
talking about the budget page.
Oh, no, but I want you to know that the budget, the salaries line item on the budget includes $118,000 for an emergency manager, which was mistakenly put into the personnel page.
So the police department is no longer going to be overseeing with the emergency management.
Well, no, there's an emergency management budget 305 that has the emergency manager salary, but for some reason,
Is that part-time or full-time?
it's a full-time, 75,000.
I thought we were taking everybody to 85.
Okay, 85.
So, Mandy, I have a question. So you're saying it's 75. Why was it, when we approved it, it was 75? Why did it get kicked up to 118,000?
What is?
I think that was a typo. That line item is a typo.
It was not a typo.
What'd you say?
It was not a
For
typo.
the emergency manager?
Yeah. The budget did not reflect in the sheets we got, it did not reflect 75,000. It reflected this number.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is on page 20 of the budget is the actual emergency manager budget.
Yeah, so page 20 says emergency manager. How much is that? It's budgeted 75. And last year was budgeted 75.
No, I understand. Last year, we budgeted 75.
Yeah,
But on the sheets that we'd get budget, from Shannon and stuff, it showed 116,000. And I went to Shannon's office and asked her, and she said, no, it was at
she was
100.
mistaken, because I asked her afterwards, and she was like,
By
yeah,
the way,
that's.
they've only used 55,000 of the 75. So.
The emergency manager has never been at 118 or even 116 prior. So
Okay.
I'm just directing you to that.
Just to stay on this, just before we
Yeah,
get
it's
down
okay.
to this, I'm sorry. Can you send me all the payments and payroll that came out of the emergency manager budget for the
Yeah.
last year?
I can do that.
Because I
Redact
didn't make a,
any private
yes,
information.
any, redact any private information, but I want to know where that money went.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So with that being said, I'm going to give it to Chief Haidar to go through his personnel as well as his budget and any comments he has.
So in '25, we were budgeted, I'll start with the police officers. We were budgeted for 45 police officers. We are currently at 38. The request that I made was for 58 officers. I don't know if it's. 58, yes. I don't know if it's up there on that page. Well, when the.
He's on the personnel.
When the request was made, it was for 58 officers. I sent you guys an email that you guys can view if you want to see the numbers of what it would be like to have 58 officers. You guys have it in your email. If you would like me to elaborate a little bit more on what I was going to do with the extra 13 officers, I can. That was one of the things that I put in. I also don't.
Go ahead and
have-
elaborate, please.
So with the additional 13 officers, the goal is, so I have to go back to be able to talk about what I'm going to tell you now. So when I first came here, I would visit these community meetings and talk to different residents and talk to different people from city council, along with officers that are on the police department and so on. Some of the issues that always come up.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Resident texted me saying the Zoom meeting is still muted. Nobody can hear. Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead, chief.
Some of the complaints that we kept getting were traffic. Traffic was like a big thing in our city, and then you look back on our police department, and we don't have any type of traffic enforcement. We don't have any type of officers that are out there being proactive, issuing tickets, coming to these accident scenes, taking care of these UD-10s, and so on. How does that help the police officers, and how does it help the residents? Number one, it obviously helps by being proactive, pulling people over, and enforcing traffic violations. How does it help the officers that are working? It allows them to be available for calls for services. It allows them to be available to respond to these different runs, have conversation with business owners, and do the stuff that we should do on a daily basis. It'll also help us lower our overtime and all that. So one of the goals with these 13 officers is to bring back traffic enforcement. That's one of the goals. The second goal is we have a wish list, and the wish list would be 4 officers that do traffic enforcement, 2 in the south, 2 in the north. The other thing that we had in mind is a special ops. Lieutenant Gazowski has been a member of the Dearborn Heights Police Department, assigned to task forces DEA. He's a very, I'd like to say, hard-nosed, proactive lieutenant. And when I first came to the city, we had a conversation about how we don't have a special ops unit. A special ops unit is the individuals that are proactive, that go after fugitives, that go after people that are stealing vehicles from our neighbors and our residents and committing Part 1 crimes. We have no unit like that in this city. No one that we can turn to and say, hey, you know, there's a group of guys in the south end that are stealing cars. Go out there, get them down to cover vehicle, go do surveillance, and go over there and arrest them. We don't have it. It's just not there. That would be the other 4. So now we're at 8. One of the other issues that we also talked about is we don't have any community relations police officers, neighborhood police officers. And the goal is to get 2. Put 1 in the north end, 1 in the south. And those people are only assigned to issues with the community, blight issues, garbage day trash pickup issues, Airbnbs or whatever, short-term rentals. You know, they're the officers that will go out here and have conversations with the neighbors and their neighborhood police officers. That's their job. You know, people have access to them. The citizens will be able to call them directly on their phone and talk about what's going on in their neighborhoods. We don't have them. We don't have 1 in the south. We don't have 1 in the north. So now we're at 10. And the other 3 was, I'm very big on this because I come from a task force background. He's also pretty big on it because he comes from it. We don't have the feds involved in our police department. We don't have TFOs, task force officers. We don't have those resources. When you have an officer who's working for the marshals, not only is the marshals paying to have that officer, but they're also training that officer. They're also allowing us to use their resources. We don't have that. We don't have anybody on a task force.
So basically, saying the marshals pays for the officer, so we don't pay for them?
They pay.
Well, let's have it then.
Training, it's a task force, but we just don't have the manpower to send them there. We don't have anybody that focuses on drugs in our city. That's where MNET comes into play. We've talked about MNET. Myself and the lieutenant here sat down with the bosses who run MNET, and they're offering us the world to allow us to send one of our officers to them. We don't have no one that's assigned to a federal task force here.
You know, I think, Chief, I know you're coming into this role at a very short time that you've been here. The truth is, and I don't know if you know this from last year or maybe you've been watching these meetings, it's not that we don't want this.
Yes.
It's can we sustain it? You know, the truth is, we have a city that doesn't generate much revenue. And so if you're not generating this revenue, this money, cash flow, or this money that's coming in, other than from certain things, all that revenue money is already being paying for personnel information, everybody's payroll, it's paying retirees, it's paying your health insurance and everything. By the end of it, you have nothing left. So when you want to give a raise, you want to increase and be able to, come up with a tentative agreement with your department, and you're like, can't pay that. But then when you do give it to them, it's great, but then you can no longer hire the 13 police officers. And so really, it's kind of like, it's like a rubber band. No matter how far you stretch this, whomever lets go first is getting hurt. It's it's
So if I may, so
Speak-
another
take the mic.
benefit to these task forces and these other special, so one of the benefits to these task forces and special positions is eventually they save on legacy costs, right, for training. So we send guys out into these task forces, they get trained by the marshals or the DEA or the FBI or these narcotics task forces, right? And now, once they've served their time, now they're coming back into our department. Now they're training other guys. That saves money on training in the future. That saves money on equipment because.
Lieutenant, I don't
So-
disagree with you.
Right, so, it may not be a short-term solution, right? But it's set up for the long-term success of not only our police department, but the individuals in our police department, and then ultimately our community, right? So,
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree, and I believe, yes.
Do any of these positions, were they, you found them creating revenue in some way?
so yeah, along with the experience and the training that they get, most of these positions are involved in the asset forfeiture program through the federal government. And so we do get significant amounts of revenue a lot of times from these guys, especially on the federal task force side.
Everything the chief said, all those positions, I'm sitting there going, yep, yep. And, we can find the money. We're just talking about coming up with $500,000 for a parking lot,
Right.
More than 1.5.
Right, and so a lot of these things are things that we've previously
Yeah, we
had
can
at the
find-
department. Right? You guys have all been here long enough to know when we had these units and these special things, right? So, we.
Mark Pernello, he was great.
Right,
What happened to them,
we had-
Lieutenant?
Right, so, we had a change in administration at the police department, right? And they tried a new vision, and it was a well-constructed vision. We all saw the vision, we knew what it was, but it didn't seem to fit our puzzle, right? That piece of, their vision of the puzzle didn't fit with what we needed at our department. It wasn't through neglect, it wasn't through any sort of failure of command, it wasn't through anything other than, we tried some new ideas, and it seems to have not worked, right?
Those simple
And
ideas
so
was
we're-
to eliminate them?
What's that?
The simple ideas were eliminate these different,
Or reassign them, or reimagine some of these positions, right?
So they set up the department for failure.
Oh, it was a perfect storm.
Nothing from
Pay
the
was
audience, please.
low and
Okay, yep.
Not everyone was having the same dream, I guess.
let Councilman Wenzel finish.
Look, like I was saying, I said this at a couple other different meetings about thinking outside the box to create revenue. I mean, these positions, I'm sure, the traffic division, that'll create revenue. This is something,
I understand it's revenue, but on our side, that's not the goal.
yeah, I know, I'm saying that this is not gonna be, this is gonna be deferred, this cost will be partially deferred by revenue generated by these positions,
Yeah, our goal is for the community, it's to safeguard the community.
Oh, yeah.
And to answer their complaints. And when we have these officers in place, we can do that.
I like the city officers of the neighborhood. When I first came on here, the chief that was in place at that time, I talked to him, I said, when I grew up in Dearborn Heights, there would be, the phrase, the cop that he would stop his car and in the middle of the block, and he would walk down one side of the block, he'd talk to the neighbors and walk down the other side, close to his car at all times. And couple times a week, they would do that, just go out and, it was so cool to see that. And he knew the people and the dogs and, I mean, that's what we need. We need, people love firefighters, right? Yeah, everybody hates the cops, because this is a thing that we can get, we get the police involved, because I do a lot of activities and I get the police involved, they come out and do things. Let's get the police back into the neighborhoods and get a good image for them,
Yep, and that's the vision that we share,
Yeah.
right? And that's why we're asking for these extra staffing.
I like it.
If we're able to get what we want, then we can go after the other things too. Like, for example, one of the most successful programs we have ongoing right now in the department is TSP, Traffic Support Patrol. The officers come in and work overtime, and they go enforce traffic violations on Ford Road, Telegraph, Van Born, throughout the city of Dearborn Heights. So imagine if we didn't have to pay these guys overtime, and we could just do this on regular time. We could take that money that we're spending to pay them to do this, now we could do what? We could go after the blight issues, we can go after garbage day pickup. I mean, it's crazy that that people call about cars being parked in the street during garbage day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All the time.
Yep.
You know, it's a win-win for all of us. You know, I mean, I know we're coming to you guys and we're asking for a lot, but trust me on this, you're gonna see a difference. You will see a different police department.
I mean, trust me, chief, if we have the money, we're all for it.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm with you, but I know
Yeah, we
me and
want
you, we talked yesterday about the reserves. I
Yes.
think we need to put some effort on having those reserves and to give them some power too, to do whatever you guys do in a
Yeah.
way when they volunteer. So we can, I mean, whatever they can do, whatever the law, allows them to do, so we can save some money.
So quick story on the reserves. We have 10 reserves, but they haven't been active for a while. So, I mean, these are older men that have kind of grown out of their uniform. And right now, I don't have enough money to put them in new uniforms because the goal is that I'm trying to hire 5 more police officers. So I have enough money to outfit these 5 police officers that we're going to hire. And then after that, I'm going to use it to get the reserves some uniforms. The reserves will be out there.
We can't use the forfeiture funds for uniforms for the reserve?
No,
No?
no.
Have you looked into like a sponsorship, local businesses sponsoring the reserves, or something like that?
We have it, but that's something that we have had that conversation about.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm sure there's businesses out there,
Yes.
they'd say, I'd love to sponsor a reserve,
Yeah.
and this
So
one.
we have 10. We have 10. And
Yeah, I
for
mean, you
every
get-
reserve, we're seeking more reserve officers, but we have to send them to the academy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also going to cost us money. It isn't much.
But I want you to know something. The reserves are not union. So like when, I'm just using my buddy Mike Nemi, who went to Dearborn's, and Dearborn sent him to the academy. Okay, Ahmed Nemi, very good friend of mine. I actually went to his swearing in. He paid to go to the academy.
Yes.
He paid for his uniform. And you gotta remember, you have a lot of people in the community that have a passion and love for this community and for the police department.
To serve.
And who will pay to go to the academy and pay for the uniform. I think the only thing they didn't pay for, I think his entire out-of-pocket cost was $5,000. And he paid $2,500 to go to the academy, and he paid $2,500 for his uniform. And he serves 12-hour shifts for the city of Dearborn.
A month?
No, I mean, he does whatever Dearborn calls them, but they do a 12-hour shift, and there's like an 8-hour shift. He always does a 12-hour shift, and he's built a relationship, and like, he likes these guys and girls that are there, and, he's,
So the reserve, I see your vision. Trust me, it's in our vision too. We want it to. That's why we recently assigned a sergeant to it, Sergeant Sertle. He's assigned to it. That's his assignment, is the reserves, and it's also traffic. He's one man. He was told, hey, man, take this role, do good at it. Hopefully, after the city council meeting, the next couple of months, we'll be able to give you an actual crew to work traffic with. So we're putting things in place to get these people. And I.
and the reserves is not a solution, guys. Like, we need
No, it isn't.
officers. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
It's part of the solution.
Every bit help. And Chief, I would like to thank you too on record for pushing forward the Exploder program.
Yes, thank
in the
you.
police department. That's something, I've been waiting for. And I think our children in the city and like our
Yes.
kids need something like that
Yes.
program.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
absolutely great. And you know how much money people, like you just said, people have reached out and gave us money to get them uniforms. Like, it's, our community with open arms is gonna help. This is an amazing community.
Can we start with the budget season now? I know you requested for much. They only gave you 45. The good news is, it's a fluid document. If you need to come back and say, hey, we want to get 10 more officers, and, if we hire 10 more, former Chief Swope did that. He said, look, I want to bring in these X amount more police officers, put more REOs. We're actually going to get paid through the district if we have these school resource officers. But it's only going to cost the city X amount of dollars.
But Councilor Chair, the $1 million question here, Chief Swope, he did ask for 45, and now Chief Hydra is saying we only have 38. Are you going to be able to hire 13 or whatever, 13 more people?
20.
20 more people in the next year? Is that possible?
Yeah, so we have a kid, another male that's graduating the academy coming up here in a month, that's gonna put us at 39. We've had an officer who returned to us recently that was off for almost 3 years, that puts us at 40. We have 6 kids that are completed,
Not kids,
tested.
men,
And
men and
everything.
women.
6 men.
Men and
6
women.
men, no women. Six men that, unfortunately, we haven't had any women yet. We plan on doing that. We have 6 men who
So
are in
hopefully
the
if we have
background.
more females in the Explorer program, that eventually they're going to become
Yes,
officers
yeah,
maybe one day.
Yeah,
so.
so no, we, before the fiscal year, we should be at 45. That's the goal.
Before June 30th?
Yeah, we're gonna be at 45. I'll be pretty upset if we're not at 45 by mid-May. I mean, ask him the nasty email I sent him.
That's
So
good.
I want this done. We're gonna be at 45. We'll be at our number.
How many you said for the task forces? How many officers? did you-
Three.
Three?
Yes.
I mean,
How's the chair?
you know, at least we can maybe push it to 53, give you 5 more and 3 for the task force. I mean,
How's the chair?
but there's a couple, I had questions here in the personnel page.
Yeah.
And I know like the director of support services, like we're not gonna have, the person is in that position is gonna be leaving, correct?
Yeah, so
Understanding?
if you look at the spreadsheet I sent you, I didn't propose that.
Okay.
I wiped it out.
And,
But it's not, this is what's being proposed.
this is what being, yeah. And to my knowledge, when I met with you the other day, you said there's 2 more lieutenants, or at least 2, they're gonna be testing for captains.
Correct.
So I think we need to adjust this here too. I mean, it says here 1 captain, so I think we need somehow to have enough money to have at least 3 captains.
And then we also didn't budget here for the 2 additional sergeants in this.
So we are, so, yes.
We have 16 or 18 sergeants now,
We have 16.
with the
These
2
guys-
that just
yeah.
sworn in
Yeah,
yesterday,
that's
so this is
budgeted.
correct.
No,
Yeah.
because last year we were at 16. That was the dilemma that we had, guys.
Yeah.
You're gonna be at 18 sergeants. If I'm not mistaken, I'll pull it up.
So the manpower one you're looking at, it does say 1 captain, proposed 1. If you go back to mine, I have it proposed as 2.
2?
2.
I'm looking at the ones
Yeah,
they gave me.
because you also have a deputy chief spot that's in there, that's vacant right now, and no one has that position. So, let's say, for example, after the test, hopefully, Lieutenant Gazowski and Lieutenant Paulus both pass it and become captains. Now you're looking at 3 captains.
Correct.
So the goal is to take, of those 3, and one of them become the deputy chief. And then once they're the deputy chief, then now the numbers are even.
But we are gonna follow X 78 for the deputy chief position, correct?
There's no other way to do it.
All right, good.
They are from now.
Well, no, there's other ways to do it. I mean, the mayor.
Somebody did it another way.
Yeah, I mean, you came in as a deputy chief
He
at one point.
started every day with me going into his office and reading the LEX 78, every day.
I'm telling you.
Mayor holds an PhD in X
So that's
78
the goal. Like,
violations.
even though you see it as 1, 2 would be, it'd be fine, because you don't have a deputy chief. So you don't have one right now, so having 3 captains is not gonna affect the budget. But we don't want it like that. We do want a deputy
Now,
chief.
we're gonna have a deputy chief.
Oh, yeah, we're going
So
to.
that's, it would affect the budget.
Yeah.
But since the director of support service is gonna be vacated, do you think it's safe to take it off the budget, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly
Definitely.
agree. If it's
Yeah.
gonna be,
So, yeah, because, I mean, if we're not gonna need the,
Lieutenant, what do you think?
I think you should take it off the budget.
Yep.
If you have information that he's not gonna be here, then I don't think that's
Well,
the position.
let me ask you a question. How many different police officers can we hire over this deputy, well, the question is, is this the cost for a lieutenant?
Pardon me?
Is this the same price
Captain,
as a captain, I mean?
yes,
thinking patrol officers, but
yeah,
Well, then you kind of want to just remove the name of it and just call it a captain instead of
yes,
Director of Support Services. Just change the personnel name.
correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes, because in the budget, you still have a deputy chief, then you have.
So you want to have a chief, a deputy chief, captain,
2 captains.
2 captains. So just make the Director of Support Services a captain. That doesn't have to be the actual pay. It'll be a captain pay, and anything over, we'll just go back to the general
no,
fund.
you just take that line and just make 2 captains, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
You wanna make it so hard? Just take that line off, that position.
I just want to make clear, I am not being in any way, shape, or form an attack at anyone. I promise you, all I'm saying here is I'm not trying to violate the injunction. I'm just following the direction of our captain and our
No, we
police chief,
understand.
and our lieutenants.
We're looking at the line item here, it
Yeah.
says 0, so.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody to say that I'm violating the injunction. Mariana, am I violating the injunction in any way, shape, or form? Do you think?
If you have information stating.
Not for her, but it's duplicative to have
Yeah.
funding for a position that we're not gonna have.
Mariana, I will tell you for the record, I am not in violation of the injunction. I am not trying to do that, and I hope you understand my body language and demeanor is not doing that.
Well,
That's all. I'm just trying to
We're
protect
the one that
the
had 0, not you.
What is it?
We're the ones that had 0 there, not you.
We don't have 0.
Well, we have 0 on our proposed. That's what we're asking for 0.
Who is asking for 0?
We are.
Who's we are?
The police department,
So are you saying the police department does not want to have a
director.
a director of support services?
We don't believe that position is going to be a position that's going to be.
It's going to be filled.
Council Chair, if I may, just to be clear, I haven't seen an official letter of the Director of Support Services leaving. So just to be cautious, until we have that, I would keep it in the budget. If there is information that there is a change coming, as soon as we have an official paperwork stating that, we can remove it from the budget.
Well, I'm gonna agree with Mariana because of the federal injunction. The last thing I want is them to say they removed it out of the budget hearing on.
There's a recommendation from the chief to remove it.
Correct.
But
And,
the chief would actually be in violation of the federal injunction as well.
correct. And sorry, 1 second. And also, again, if this individual chooses to leave, again, it's in our union contract that position is not to be filled, so that position would automatically disappear. Just to be
Union
clear.
contract, well, you guys haven't followed those union contracts in forever. What
When
are you
was the last
talking
time you followed an order on a contract?
So we got it. Good to know.
Contract.
But I will say, Chief, Lieutenant, thank you guys for that. You can hear the rumbling of Councilman Wenzel down to Councilman Constant about that. But the truth is, we don't want to be in violation. I don't want this to be used against us, especially since it's like, everything is coming so close.
Council Chair, can we get a legal opinion on that before we approve
Sure.
the budget?
Well,
To know
yeah,
if we
before
can
May
remove-
6th.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll get a public opinion. I mean, we'll get a legal opinion, but,
Unfortunately, we're gonna have a corporation council. either.
but the truth is, Gary has told us
Not Gary, the attorney for, the city attorney,
City.
the city attorney,
as well.
it says that as of May 9th, the director of support services will be leaving. It says constructive discharge and termination of that position, of that person.
Is Gary on?
Does it say person or position?
Person.
So if there's documentation, we just need to make sure it's with HR, and then you can make whatever changes.
This is from,
Yes.
Yes, we have a director of HR.
Guys, yeah, we'll get an opinion on it. Yes, okay. Let's have, Mahdi, let's go through the actual budget line item. And you can do it, Mahdi, and then if we have any questions, we'll ask the chief.
Yes, sorry. Most of the rest of the personnel pages are the same, but I did want to note that the dispatchers are at 10 right now. I believe that there's currently 9 dispatchers in the department. Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so there's 9 dispatchers in the department, but that's the only change that was also in the personnel pages.
Well, I think there was in the contract, they had to be at 9.5 or something.
Okay, here we go.
So we have 10?
We have 9 currently, we're budgeting for 10.
Yeah, we had the budget for 9.5 still under their contract.
I know, Chief, yesterday I seen a young lady at the department saying she was applying for a dispatcher.
Yes.
We had a hard time getting dispatchers last year, so if she's applied in, please look into it.
Just so you guys know, is it somewhere saying 10? Yeah, in ours.
Speak in the mic,
We're requesting 12. If it matters at all. We requested 12.
I mean, look.
Let's get
Chief,
10.
Chief, I want to tell you, we can request for 100. We have to figure out how to come up with them. You as the administrator, as the police chief, has to say, I want 15 officers. This is how much it's going to cost. This is where we're going to run it. This is where the revenue's coming in from.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to work. So you have to show us a flow chart,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, the numbers are there, what it's gonna cost and stuff like that. I understand it. I have to break it down for you and show you where it's gonna come and where it's.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's there. You just have to explain it so that we do our fiduciary duty as a city council.
Council
understand.
Chair, because if we don't have the dispatcher, then an officer fills in as dispatcher at a much higher rate, correct?
That's correct, and it's on overtime, and they get a higher hourly rate, and it comes out of our overtime budget. You're right.
By the way, Mariana, can you also let me know, what does the dispatch contract say? Do we have to budget for 13 or is it 9.5? I believe last year's, Swope told us 9.5.
I'm so sorry, I don't recall what the minimum number is on dispatch. I can look that up
But
for you,
if the
though.
minimum says 10, I mean, if the minimum says 13, and we're in violation of that contract, one, I wish we didn't negotiate a contract that we couldn't fulfill. We're negotiating in bad faith. But 2,
I can look it up, but I don't believe that's the case. I haven't had a grievance from the department. I'm sure I would have if we were violating it in any way.
can you look that up for me
But I
real
can
quick when you
look
get a
it up.
chance? Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions on the personnel page, can I go forward with the budget?
Yes.
Well, no, I also want to know how many sergeants. Well, look at last year's budget. Do you have it?
Yeah.
It's 16,
16?
Last year you had 16,
yes,
so now we have 18.
yes.
So we're too short on that. So we need to update those numbers. 'Cause you- Just go through.
I don't know, I don't have, oh, you know,
Oh, you need the personnel.
I think they had them at the same one.
Possibly.
Well, they had them combined with they had the whole command officers 22 last year.
Well, just count them.
Again, eventually the officers will.
18, 21, 22.
So last year, they combined all the command together as one. So they had 22 altogether.
So now we should
Somebody-
have 24.
Can somebody just tell us, do we have
So if
16 sergeants right now, or do we have
you have
18 right now?
You have 18,
With the two additional?
yes.
Counting the two that were promoted yesterday.
So
Yes.
now you have 18, but we're only budgeting for 16, so we have to fix that number. Please. And so now your patrol officers, you don't have 38, you have 36. Because now you've taken two from.
No,
from-
I took the two from that 38.
Well, no, not in our.
40.
Oh, yeah,
Hold on,
you
in
did.
our budget, we're not. Our budget is saying we have 45. Okay? You told me you have 38.
Yes.
You really have 36.
I had 40 as of yesterday.
Yeah, the 38 is counting, it includes the two sergeants that were promoted to another.
Okay, so we have a roster right now, currently, with the two gone, we have 38 officers.
Yes.
Okay, we have one in the academy, puts you at 39, and potentially a hire that puts you at 40.
No, the one
somebody
coming back.
Or somebody that came back, so that puts you at 40. So really at 39 right now. We're at 38 or 39?
We're at 39, in a month we'll be at 40 with the kid graduating from the academy.
The young man.
The young man.
We don't have kids working on our police.
I'm old.
They're all kids.
They're all kids to us.
Don't use that word with him. Right?
Yeah. Young man.
Yeah. You also do have a sergeant who's been on medical leave for a long time, over years and years. That's also on the books, so it really puts you at 19 sergeants. And his stuff is in the
Okay.
process of, being given some type of settlement.
But we did agree to push it to 53, correct, for the patrol officer?
Well, let's see what our budget ends up at, how much our deficit is right now, before we shoot up, in my opinion. Because 5 more police officers could be something we might not be able to afford, or at least find cuts that we can make.
Do you think those extra officers are gonna help with the overtime?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. But if you look right now at our beginning of our May schedule, it is filled with.
So let's show that on paper then, Mehdi. If we give them 53 officers, how it's gonna affect the overtime? If you can work with the chief to see,
Yes.
like if we give them 13 more officers, how much we're gonna be saving on overtime?
So I can work with Chief Harder on both the overtime as well as determining about approximately how much revenue.
So basically, if I'm gonna see like giving more and more officers, I wanna see the overtime going way down.
But you also got to remember that revenue would also possibly go up as, like the district court revenue. So I can work with Chief Harder on that one
Yeah.
to determine that number for you guys and see the net effect.
You said, Councilman, you said 13.
And
but
to
then
speak
you
into
said
the mic.
53. Did you mean 58?
No, I said 53 because now we're at
Okay.
40, so that's, you still have like 13 more officers to hire for next year.
Yeah, so you know, my budget's 45, I'm requesting 58.
So we gave you 8 more. I mean, for now, to see,
He wants to know
to
what's
see
the
how
net effect
deep we are.
of 8 more.
It's a
not-
fluid document.
not
If
13.
you're gonna hire, you can always come back for a budget amendment.
Yes.
But we have to have a balanced budget, approving a budget. We can't go over our budget.
Well, no, we don't, it's not that we can't, where are we gonna get the money from? No? Like last year, we promised that we were gonna get $60 million in revenue, 54 million, so we ended up using 5 million, 6 million from the fund balance. So the next year that comes in for 25, 26, you don't have $5-6 million in fund balance, or, $12 million in fund
ARPA
balance.
money.
You don't have that ARPA money no more. You know, I know the state wants to offer some, you know, some money, but they're not gonna give you money to pay to hire more police officers. They're gonna tell you to go out and buy more equipment, you know, offer different programs. They're not gonna give you that type of money.
Like last year, we were supposed to budget for 50, but they messed up on the command, so we had to take off 5 from the patrol to budget for 3 command in order to balance the budget. So that's why I went down to 45.
Chief Radar and I did attend that, the roundtable that they had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, with Alabas.
So, and most departments, most people who spoke of it, I mean, are going to use that money for hiring.
How long does the money come around for?
That's the problem. We have to see if it's sustainable. You know, that's the big problem. Once we find out the amount and it's something we can do, then we'll look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Is that coming from the state?
Yeah.
Am I clear to go through the
Yes,
budget
please.
now?
Yes, let's go.
Sorry, I can't find anything about the minimum staffing in their contract. I'll have to ask HR, but I can't see anything just browsing through it right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mariana.
So, for the budget on page 19, the salaries line item is going to have to be updated based on the change to the personnel page. We'll get that number to you once that is updated. We have the second line is
Hang on one
retired.
second. George, can you make sure you take note of that? The two, yep, okay. Thank you.
So the next line item is the payments to retirees. We are budgeting $354,198. That is a contractual retirement payouts based on contracts. We have crossing guards at $124,654. We have part-time employees at $353,239. We have overtime at $950,000. We have the clothing allowance at $190,000. Hospital insurance is going to be $1.7 million. Holiday pay, which is a contractual payout, is going to be $300,564. Life insurance, general government, and 345 pension is set based on salaries as well as fringe benefits. For the supplies, we have $60,000. Materials and supplies is no longer a line item. It filtered into the supplies account 728.000. You have the ammunition account number 744, $80,000. You have utilities 745.000. That's $155,000. You have the 759.000 prisoners expenses. That is $12,000. You have dues and memberships, 802.000 at $3,500. You have contractual services, 818.000 at $405,000.
You don't gotta read the digit numbers.
Sorry about that, Wood.
So what's that for, Chief, services?
Contractor services is,
Oh, I don't think
So it's
That was-
things like, that's all of our existing contracts like Axon and Flock and
Okay.
Clemis and things that we have to renew annually.
everything that assists us in everyday policing, like FLOT and all the databases that we use, that's all part of it. That's the combined. If you look at I think it was the second email I sent you guys, it's listed on there at 1.0. It lists every single one of them.
Okay,
There's a new service now to get documents. So before you go there, you'd send a letter. Now there's this, you go and you go to a website and you get a key and then you download the stuff. It's not cheap, I'm sure. To get, documents or data or different things, answer a FOIA request.
Is it evidence.com? Is that what?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Maddie.
Okay, so we have tuition reimbursements at $25,000. Nothing for telephone or special services. Then for motor fuel, we have $160,000.
Is that for all the vehicles?
Yes, all police vehicles, they have Shell fleet cards, so they have gas station cards that they use.
I mean, this year we're at 94,000. I mean, I guess if you hire more.
I mean, they average around 11 to 12,000 a month.
Okay.
And then you have repairs and maintenance, Equipment, $250,000. Training, $50,000. Training Act 302, $10,000. And then it looks like there was a requested amount for $450,000 of capital outlay, which was not in the recommended budget. I don't know if Chief, were you part of
I
that?
believe that's the,
Microphone,
I don't know
please.
if that's the right amount, but it's for the dispatch center that
We
we're
already
trying
have
to.
money for dispatch.
Yeah, but it's not there anymore.
It was 750,000 that we requested for the dispatch center.
I swear to God.
Yeah, that money is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Mehdi, I have a question. If you go back to the hospital insurance,
Yes.
isn't it set for the whole year, or did they increase it on us? Because I see we budgeted almost 1,300,000, and we're projected to pay almost 1.6 for this year.
So hospital insurance, I believe, it went up 15%. HR can give us the exact number because hospital insurance did
But
jump.
can they increase on us like halfway in the middle of the year, or they?
Yeah, well, they don't follow our fiscal year. They,
Okay, so what about the new numbers, the 1.7? Is that something they gave you?
yeah,
or
that's, this 1.7 is accounting for,
estimate?
no, the increase. We already got the increase.
Okay, so you know
The
this is
increase already
exactly-
happened, I believe the increase happened in July or December. I mean, January or December. January 2025 or December 2024, that's, we have in accounts payable, I can pull it up and figure out exactly which month they increased.
So they increased this year, they're gonna increase
Blue
again
Cross-
next year?
No, Blue Cross increased it in December 2024 or January 2025. We do not determine when they increase it. I don't know exactly what the laws are regarding that, about how or when they can increase it. I can get that information from HR and provide that
So
to
we're talking
you.
almost 400,000.
Yeah, but we have no.
That's
control
not
over it.
something
I
that,
understand, but I'm just trying to see.
it's annual.
It's an annual contract. We are currently out for bids for a new benefits consultant because we want to offer different options to our employees. So it's actually out for bids right now because we're not happy with the increases on the amount that we're paying currently.
This
So
is
it's
huge.
currently out for bids. So we'll see if we get better luck.
Who are you with currently?
Plant Moran. We have been with them for decades. So again, we thought it was time to go out for bids again, which is
This
currently
for, like,
where we are.
Healthcare and everything?
Yeah.
There's a separate entity.
Yeah, it's not Plant Moran, the PM Gap area that helps us with finance. It's a
Oh, I know.
separate entity within Plant Moran.
You know, Plant Moran is like the lifetime of things, you know?
Yes, it's a subdivision.
I'm sure you can get the
subdivision
same,
of-
you can get the same workout at LA Fitness.
Council Chair? Council Chair? These numbers that you're giving us for healthcare, hospitalization, life insurance, do they reflect the new numbers of employees that are predicted?
No, but based
Great
on,
question, Councilman.
based on numbers,
The numbers we proposed, not the ones that we just.
no, I know. So based on the new numbers, it would go up, but I do not believe it would go up a significant amount, given that these are based on individual employees and not on salaries. So hospital insurance is not, hey, this person gets paid $120,000, he costs more for hospital insurance. Let's say he costs $2,000 a month, approximately. Yeah.
But all the insurances?
So it's
life
not,
insurance,
the numbers aren't updated, but once we do go back, myself, Mariana, and Plant Moran go back and update all the changes in the budget, these numbers will also be updated along with the salaries. We cannot give you the exact number right now, as it's not an easy calculation, just 1 + 2.
Yeah.
Mehdi, if we go down to the holiday pay, I mean,
Yes.
we're spending this year almost 330. So why we're only budgeting for 300,000? Is it less holidays next year?
Holiday pay?
Yeah.
I honestly do not know why that was budgeted that way. I do see where your comment is, and I'll make a note of that to make sure that number is correct.
Is this budget real?
Sorry about that, what is? Come on, if you're gonna make a comment, at least let me
Fluid.
know.
Definitely fluid, huh?
What's real about this budget?
I know.
I think the
Some
same thing,
numbers,
Mehdi, goes with the fringe benefit.
Fringe benefits.
Yeah, like there's almost 200, almost close, about 250,000. Like we're gonna be spending 710 for this year. We only given now 680. even though they asked for 903.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, this is easy. Skyrocket. Real number.
Good eye, Councilman.
So the fringe benefits is only supposed to be the FICA tax, which is Social Security and Medicare. Based on that calculation, it should only be 550, but I gotta also check that number for you.
You said 550?
Yeah.
So how are we spending 710 this year?
Because currently, the way we are entering the revenue, like the expenses, some of the items that aren't in fringe benefits, we're filling into fringe benefits, and we remove those at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, it gets adjusted back down to where it
So there
needs to
gets
be.
extra money to put back into the fund balance.
Well, there's other expense line items that those go into, and then we make an adjustment at the end of the year.
So who requested this number for the fringe benefit, the 903? Who does the request? Is that HR?
No, that's directly correlated to the salaries.
But who made the request?
Who made the request, though?
Madam Clerk,
The director,
they're complaining
their
audio
chief?
isn't working
Yeah.
again.
So the requested, if you pay attention, it was considering the additional 13 employees, so it was an $11 million budget rather than a $7 million budget. So it correlates with all of those. It will be higher with the requested, because if you had more employees, fringe benefits, healthcare costs, all would be higher.
Yeah, but this one, Mariana, did not reflect the 13 extra employees yet.
In the requested, it does.
the second to last column.
That's the number 45.
How do we know that?
So if you see the requested, you see that the salaries that are 11,364,037.
Correct.
So every item that affects employee staffing
Okay, I see.
numbers, it correlates with what the differences
Okay, I
are
see
there.
now.
But if you lower it, everything else lowers
I
too.
see, thank you.
I also heard back from our HR director, and we will hear back from the benefits consultants around this September and October. So that's when the new rates, we'll know what the new rates actually will be for healthcare.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Department 300?
You're good.
Okay.
Are we going to emergency manager?
We're gonna do Fund 265, federal forfeitures. No, but, no. Okay, we'll do emergency manager first.
How many we got today?
I thought we were just doing police today.
What?
It's part of police,
I thought it's not part of the police.
Yeah.
supervised by police.
So the emergency manager isn't a director, it's a different department on
No,
the,
the emergency manager is a director position.
Correct. And historically, prior to last year, emergency management had always been under the police department. Last year, we created a separate emergency management fund so that we could account for what the emergency expenses would be if we do face an emergency there. So what you're going to see now is what we would need to respond to emergencies in the case that they come up in the
What page
city.
is that?
20, it's
20,
right
the
after
next
the
is
police
12.
department. But again, the emergency manager is still supervised by the chief of police.
But he said after emergency manager, he wants to do a different,
He was just following the list on our schedule, the agenda list, but they all fall within the police department. So it's okay if we just go to the next page, which is page 20.
so for the emergency manager, we had originally budgeted 76,500 for salaries, but, no, council chair wanted it to 85 because all directors are at 85. And then we have, commission fees is 1,200, fringe benefits is 5,800, supplies is 5,000, dues and memberships is 150, miscellaneous expenditures is 7,200, contractual services is 2,450, travel and education is 3,200, and then capital outlay under 5,000 is $1,000. Any questions on the emergency manager
no,
budget?
don't we get money from the state for under Act 301 or something for emergency manager?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, there is, right? Mr.
Money
Reed?
through the
See
state
that?
police.
Thank you. My brother-in-law is the director of Homeland Security for Wayne County. and the state gives a portion of his money because it's,
salary?
because, for his salary. So when we're saying, 75,000 or 85,000 for the emergency manager, you're getting 301, it's called the Act 301. I'll pull it up for you guys.
I got it.
I can double check that. We'll
Yeah,
verify
you
with
get-
Plan
you get-
Moran
you get
before
money
the
from
last
state
meeting.
Regarding that. Mr. Deeb is agreeing, and I know Mr. Deeb knows his stuff. And
Yeah, he does.
and
All right,
Sue
we'll
is-
double check how much we would get for
You
the
do.
position.
You do
And
get-
we
you
will
get some of
put that
that.
in revenues as well, because I don't think it's allocated there either.
I mean, we're getting it, we're just not putting it in our books.
Okay. Any other questions for emergency manager?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this definitely has nothing to do with emergency. Act 301.
I don't know if it's Act 301, my number could be off.
What's next?
Play those triple digits.
Sorry, I did just want to bring up one item that Bob Ancrap brought up. So
Who brought it up?
Bob Ancrap.
Okay.
So in here, there's a very small amount for part-time salaries. He's always recommended to increase that because in the case of emergencies, when you need overnight shelter staffing, that's where that budget would come from.
What are we at right now?
I believe it's nothing, but he had originally requested last year 31,235, and that was considering the amount of nights of emergency. But again, that's a change that you can make in the case that an emergency does show up. I just wanted to bring it to your
Well, in a state of
attention.
an emergency, I believe the mayor has the right to make a
Correct.
decision. So like, if he needed to hire people in a state of an emergency, I don't think anybody on city council is gonna tell him no. So like,
Correct, so that's why it wasn't budgeted, but I just
but the
wanted to bring
truth
it to
is,
your
my
attention.
fear is that, I know George is writing all these things down. Have we looked at what the new budget is? Because, we're gonna be in a deficit now, like an extreme deficit, so we're gonna have to make cuts elsewhere to be able to cover up some of these things.
Once we get all the numbers, Mariana, I, and Plan Moran will coordinate to figure out how we can move expenses around so we are back to a balanced budget
Okay.
with revenues exceeding expenditures.
Okay, thank you.
It's Act 390.
Page 44.
Act 390, that's what it was.
So page 44 is the federal forfeiture fund.
What was it, Act what?
Page 44. I do not know why we didn't actually budget for these items. However, they are expenses incurred by the police department. And I'm assuming that the police department would come before council and advise them when the expenditures are expected to happen and make budget amendments at that point, since these items aren't always known as what you're going to expend throughout the year. I think Chief Harder.
Are you listing them? What are they?
Oh, no, I'm saying that there's nothing
There's
budgeted
nothing
for.
specifically, it's just
But
saying.
it's like when you
in case
do
of-
have something, major purchase, you go let council know so that they can be aware and then make the formal
I still think you
amendment.
have to have a line item for forfeiture fund though, so you can't like deplete it and say, just come to us when you need it.
Correct.
Yeah,
No, you can't do that.
Correct, sir. You
No.
cannot use forfeiture money in Plan B budget.
You cannot. But we've always had a line item for forfeiture fund.
so I was told by Plan Moran, it's a formal adjustment, like, it's not something that the council is gonna be against, but it's just a formal declaration, like, hey, we're using forfeiture funds for this amount, it'll come out of this.
You should have said
GL.
we were using fund balances as well when we were using it. Nobody was telling.
No, but the forfeiture one has a different fund. It has it on page 46, it lists the actual,
I know. What I'm telling you is the same way we have to come out and say we're using forfeiture funds. The administration should have came out and said, we're using fund balance here. We just got it. I know you were for it. I'm just readjusting it. That's all.
from my knowledge, they do let you know that it comes out of the fund balance GL number. Okay. I would not falsely advertise any budget amendments.
I'm not saying you would. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm glad that we're doing that though.
Okay.
Today.
Going forward, if there's ever any budget amendments, I'll make sure to make it clear that it is coming out of fund balance or from a different expense line item, so it doesn't come out of fund balance.
Thank you.
So pretty much, that's 44 to 48, which they don't have actual budgets set in them. However, 48 at the end, well, actually 47 at the end, my bad. 46 at the end shows the balance of the forfeiture funds which can be used.
1.6.
And then Fund 266, which is traffic mobilization, same thing. There isn't items budgeted for. However, the police department will come forth if there's ever any expenditures that need to be made. And the fund balance for that is $385,365, listed on page 48.
Chief, since the emergency department is under your restriction, do you think you can assign somebody to look for Act 390 and see if we get money from the state or how we can get the money from the state?
I'm trying to read up on it, so yeah, I'll look
If you
into
don't
it.
mind.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you, email or next week.
And there's certain laws that you have to follow under this Act 390. Was when George Bush put it into effect under Homeland Security or Emergency Manager. You have to do certain things, and I believe there was a designated person per city. It has to be the one to say this is a state of an emergency. It can't be from like the actual police department. It has to be one individual that says the city is under an emergency. It can't be the mayor, it can't be the police chief, it can't be the fire chief.
It can be.
It cannot be.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding this department or the budget as a whole?
Nope, thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to make the comment that you're already aware of all of the needs for improvements in the Justice Center. So again, those are requests that our city engineer has brought up on multiple occasions. They need a new roof. They need new units, as you have discussed with the TIFA director. They need replacement in the stairs, I believe, and new benches in the hallway areas. I don't know if I'm missing anything else that's critical, but there's, as in any building, there's capital improvement needs.
You know what's crazy? I'm not gonna, I wanna have a good day.
Can we check with TIFA director, see if they can cover any of all this stuff? And maybe the dispatch too? I mean, they
Maybe
have the
loan us
money,
some money.
and pretty much they funded the building.
I just wanna know what happened to our ARPA money. That's what I want to know.
So 10 million was for revenue loss.
And then we had salary increases with every union contract negotiation. So all of the money went to salaries and back pay.
Never invested a dollar in the city.
No,
Good job.
we invested into the employees.
So hypothetically speaking, the 10 million in revenue loss, you can twist it to fit whatever agenda you want. I'm just gonna say that.
Thank you.
The repairs that Mariana was talking about at the Justice Center and the Police Department, it's also in the email I sent you guys, page 2, if you want to take a look at it.
Chair, I mean, I can't believe, this is why we need a grant writer. I can't believe there's grant money not out there, to fix up your police station,
You know how much money under Obama, I mean, not Obama, under Biden's administration. I don't care if you like Biden or Trump, I don't care for either one. I didn't vote for either one. But under his administration, he gave away thousands and millions of dollars in grant money. This next president is saying, I'm putting a halt, I'm not giving anybody anything right now until we see what's going on. I'm doing the whole Doge investment. Taking a look at it. So we really, in those last 4 years, we gave up $20 million at minimum. You know how much the city of Dearborn collected?
Talk about it.
Man, it's past. I know. We're not gonna vent about it. We're moving forward.
Sorry.
That's your ringtone?
Any other questions? Any comments from the public?
Sue Kaminsky, Amboy, Dearborn Heights. So one thing I want just for you guys to remember, return on investment, and I know that it's an arbitrary number. The more police we have, the more tickets they write. The less overtime they have, the less crime our city has, the better our city has a name, the more increase in our home value. All of that goes together. And I'm not even mentioning the federal forfeiture money, the 380,000 Livonia got because we don't have a narcotics unit. So there's lots of money there, but I think we need to have someone in the police department do an evaluation on if we have our 4 traffic guys, how many tickets on average are they going to write a month? And therefore, assuming 80% of that goes through the courts, what are we going to get for revenue? Prove that we can do this, because right now, council's thinking we don't have the money. And I'm a citizen, and I want my police force the way it was when Mark Myers was here. I want my police force back. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am.
I'm going to piggyback on that one. I understand what your intentions are, Chief, as far as having more community involvement between the force and the residents. But that doesn't take anything at the moment other than you saying, drive down the streets, stop and say hi. Will they have time to sit in my parking lot behind me for a half hour, 2 cars yesterday, while I had speeders out front? It only takes a minute for an officer to stop. If he's cruising his area, I don't even know if there's sergeants with specific areas. Somebody said there was. I don't know. But if they're cruising through and they're not going to anything, you can't tell me that every minute of the day, minus their lunch, which they're entitled to in breaks, that they can't stop or find a street where someone's outside and stop and talk to them? We need more officers to do that? I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
I mean, just to be, Chief, Lori and I have
Lori.
we have great conversations and everything, but with respect to cops sitting in parking lots and stuff, when they respond to a call,
Right.
and they gotta go write their reports in the car, they park somewhere and park the car. So I don't wanna make it seem that our cops are sitting, not doing anything.
Does it take 2 officers?
Maybe a sergeant's there reviewing the report with them, yes.
Okay, then I digress on that. I'll take that back. But does that still mean they don't have time to go through the neighborhood and stop and say hi to
No,
someone?
No, I
and
agree,
introduce
I'm with you.
themselves?
He wants more police.
I'm with you 1,000% on this. I
Okay,
don't disagree,
all right.
but what I'm trying to say is that I don't want people also thinking our officers are sitting in parking lots, because what happens is that if they have to go back and write the police report in the department, we're losing 2 cops there in
Well,
case
yeah,
the car
okay.
comes in response time.
I will,
So I always pull up to when they're sitting at the mosque, they're doing an
I'll take
accident
that part
report.
back. I have no problem saying I'm wrong. But it's what, and thank you for correcting me, but not everybody's getting corrected. So they're getting a bad picture of the police from that, right?
Yeah, no.
Didn't I just have a bad picture of the police? Now, how many residents are having a bad
A lot.
picture of the police?
A lot.
How many police are stopping to try to change that picture when they have an opportunity?
I see them out there, to be honest with you. They're trying. They're not gonna do, it's not gonna be 100%, but they are trying with what they have.
It's one of those back in the day. They
Nope.
were on bikes, they were on motorcycles, they were stopping and
We
saying
don't have the
hi.
manpower, unfortunately.
Exactly. But if they're being run that ragged that they can't get a moment to talk to a resident, then we really do need more police, right?
We do. We do.
So that okay. Am I making sense or am I,
No, you're making sense.
okay.
At the end of the day, that you saying, me asking for more police officers so I can get an officer to be able to talk to the community is really, it's not what I'm trying to do. All of us should be community policing. We all should be stopping,
True.
having conversations with you,
Yeah.
finding out what's going on. But having an extra officer to focus on community policing is going to help. It's going to help you. It's going to help me. You have
Do you
direct
think
contact
one
with
for
them.
each end is enough? I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not, but this is the situation we're in. I'll take what I can get.
Right.
You know, I would love to have 3.
Guys, we can have this
Okay.
discussion.
All right, thank you.
The email, but I will say, every police officer should be on the road, should be trained on community policing.
I agree.
Every single person. Because when I was growing up as a kid, we all wanted to say hello to the police officers.
I agree.
All Lori's saying is, hey, have a conversation. She's in the backyard and you see 2 cops, and she's walking her dog, wave. Let them come up and say hello. Let them be approachable.
Kids would love them to stop. They would love it. They
All right, man.
I'm so sorry.
And you're right. When I was growing up, I knew most of the police officers, at least 80% of them, by name.
Yes.
I mean, that's the type of community.
And also, too, talking about the police officer sitting in the parking lot writing the report, I think it's better they sit in the parking lot and write the report instead of going back to the station, because if there's an emergency, they can probably interrupt that report and take off right away, and then come back and finish their report. You know, it makes them more accessible to the community.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
no. Some people don't
Well, it means well.
realize.
It means well.
But it shows what a lot of.
I'm so sorry, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to take the stance now.
You're sorry that you have to take me?
No, I'm saying sorry that I have to stop her from speaking because it's now officially your time.
Renee Myrna, Annapolis, Dearborn Heights. So I can't speak about the police, knowing somebody because they knew our house real well growing up, so I don't even want to go there. Yeah. But I agree. They used to stop, or they used to at least say hi. I wave at the police officers when they go by, but they just look at me like I'm suspect, so I just quit doing it. So anyway, I was thinking, as far as the fund goes for the uniforms or whatever you need for these extra people, I would be happy to donate on a regular basis to that fund, and I'm sure there's other people that would like to donate to that fund. And I'm sure there's people that have resources to donate quite a bit to that fund, just to make sure that how you do it and legally set up the area where we could donate that to,
Thank you. Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, well, I know you don't have the manpower to, police everybody on the street, so I say set up an area at the police station where people that know that they were speeding can voluntarily come in there and drop some money and say, yep, I was speeding today, so I'm gonna put this money in. And you'd be surprised, people will do that,
Pass the hat around.
Would be nice.
Not many.
But anyway, that's my ideas. That's it. That's all I had.
Thank you. So in today's generation, instead of waving, you should send them a tag. You gotta send them a tag.
Yeah. It's a Venmo.
Anyone else?
Wallet, e-wallet.
Council Chair, I just want to add, the community policing officer, not just going door to door and talking to residents. I think that the lead officer for the explorers is the community police officers, correct? Liaison. So this is one of their jobs too. So they do many things. So
I think our police are great.
I think we're heading in the right direction, to be honest with you.
My next thing is, anyone else on Zoom?
Wait, I have one more idea, though. I was going to tag this on. Even if they can't say hello, if they see a citizen, and a citizen's waving at them, just beep your horn. Just beep your horn to acknowledge that the citizen's waving at them or saying hi or something. That's all.
Thank you.
Hit him with a star chase.
Bring it up at roll call.
Or a friendly ticket.
Anyone on Zoom? Let's take it to Zoom now. Are you getting up to speak? No. Anyone else in the audience? Seeing none?
Homework.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, come on, Vince.
No, sorry. Time's up. Sorry.
Vince is actually one of the most, I love when Vince gets up and speaks.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there. Vince Trepkowski, Columbia Street, LT, new boss. Consider that you're, or whatever you are. Did you shoot yourself in the foot? I gotta know. Was it one of those training things with the drone?
That's it.
Okay.
Chasing somebody.
It was probably Mo. Hey,
Foot surgery.
Quit badgering our police chief, please.
hey, he's gonna go after you.
Time's up.
Yeah, thanks. See, I ran out of air. Damn.
This guy.
Yeah, I gotta take my pills. Thanks. Wow, I'm losing concentration here.
So my wife's not going to be happy with you tonight.
Well, Mo, to help her out. On this budget here, the emergency manager, if you're keeping that in the budget, taking it out of the budget, whatever you're doing with it. When I was at the station, there was talk about one of the command officers being an emergency manager. So why can't one of our officers be an emergency manager? And the higher-ups, like the deputy chief or one of the captains.
The emergency manager, when that position's open, you can apply for it. You can apply for it. It doesn't have to be from within.
Tom's gonna be the future.
It's different.
Tom's going to be the future, okay. So we'll leave it up to Tom and, go from there. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.